What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 5 different ways to run a slant route. So we're going to be talking about 5 different coverages that you can see from a DB, how you guys can structure your releases, how you guys can structure the actual slant route versus all 5 of those different looks. So we're going to be talking about inside shade, head up, inside shade where he's off, outside leverage, the work. So I hope this video helps you guys out. And again, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you need to improve your route running, your press releases, everything about your game this offseason, check out that very first link below. We are traveling out to 6 different states across the U.S. for 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camps. So next stop on our camp tour is going to be Columbus, Ohio. Then we're going to Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, and then Los Angeles, California. So we got a busy summer coming at you guys. We'd love to help your guys' game improve for 2 whole days for these weekends, 4 hours each day, and limited spots in each group. So I hope you guys could check that out if you're local to one of those 6 different states. Let's get started with this video. So now, first things first here, first situation we're talking about is when you have an inside shade press coverage DB and there's not a whole lot of room to work. Okay, so this is a pretty simple situation. This is not the most complex release that you can use by any means. So we're going to be talking about a diamond release, and this is all for going to be a 3-step slant. So a diamond release is where you take 3 hard steps on a 45-degree angle to get that DB to think fade. So let's play this thing full speed. So that's what this wide receiver does, right? 1, 2, 3, get the DB to open up that gate, slip back underneath, and make that catch. So how does this actually work? So the whole goal of this, when you have inside leverage coverage, what's his number one goal? Is to protect the inside. He is trying to stop the exact route that you are running, which is going to be the slant route. So we want to obviously, if I were running a route like, let's say, a post route, a corner route, I would want to take the outside release, because if I'm taking the outside release, I'm going to take the outside release because he's not going to give up the inside. So that's what we have to make it look like. For 3 hard steps, you have to sell the fade. And how we sell the fade when you guys come off the line, we have to run in full stride. You see this wide receiver does a great job of not shortening his stride. So many wide receivers, they try to sell vertical, but on this diamond release, they're thinking about it too much. They take choppy steps, and guess what? When you take choppy steps, you're not running as fast, and that DB is going to settle. Now, the other thing that they don't do is they don't run hard. They'll take normal steps, but they'll be kind of like going like 50%, right? If I'm coming off the line, I go 50%, DB's going to go 50%. And we know when the DB is slowed down, when we're not getting him to run full speed, he's going to have a much easier time reacting off of me and making a break on that route. So I got to have speed and I got to have stride. And then last but not least, where are his eyes? His eyes are supposed to be on my hips. So on that 45-degree angle, I got to get my hips committed. I can't tell you how many wide receivers before that 3rd step, their hip and their shoulders start to turn early, and that's an indicator to that DB. Make sure it's 3 full strides. And while you're taking those full strides, we're going full speed, and we commit my hips and my shoulders. If you can do that on this diamond release, guaranteed separation when that DB's inside shade. Nothing about that looks like a slant. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job with that diamond release, flipping that DB's hips, and then slipping back underneath. So now, second release I want to talk about here is the same situation, inside shade coverage. You can't really see this DB here, but he's inside shade because you could tell by his foot, his right foot. And we're going to talk about a slide release. So when would you use this slide release? Because technically it's the same concept, but what makes it different from a diamond release? So I'm going to play this full speed. So a slide is when you slow play this DB to the outside, you hesitate, he jumps out wide, we give him a little crossover and run a slant. So let's play this full speed. So he slides, 1, 2. Gets that DB to jump, and then makes that separation on the slant. So it's the same route. It's the exact same situation, inside shade coverage, but why would he choose this release? And that has a lot to do with the tempo of the play, right? So as a receiver, so many times you get caught up in, you got so many different plays in your playbook. You have quick game, you have 3-step pass game, you have play action, you have RPO, and a lot of times it's a lot of the same routes, especially if you're out of the slot, especially if you're on the outside only. If you alternate, you can kind of open up your route tree a little bit, but usually it's a lot of the same things. And a lot of times receivers get caught up in running the route the exact same way because they don't have that football IQ to understand the entire play concept. Hopefully in your offense, you guys have certain trigger words that dictate what kind of route you're going to be running, right? So like, let's say, for example, like the name of cars, like let's say like the play's called like Lexus or something like that. Let's say the play called Lexus, that's quick game footwork for the quarterback. So if the play call is Lexus and you have to run a slant, I'm probably not going to do this slide release because it takes too long. The quarterback's trying to get the ball out of his hands right now. But let's say play actions are like the names of states. So let's say like Alabama, for example, right? Like let's say it's like Alabama. That means it's like a zone left RPO. So that takes a little bit longer. So that's when I can use a slide release. So that's the difference between this. That's why I include this, because when you guys have to run a third read slant where the quarterback is looking at two other routes and then he's coming back to you, number 3, or when you have to run an RPO where the quarterback has to do a play action with the running back, that's when we know I can take a little bit longer. So that's the slide release. So it's the same idea. You slide off the line and you threaten that DB on that 45. It's very important when you slide. You're sliding on the 45 because that means you could either slide and take off vertical, or you could slide, and if that DB jumps, I still have leverage to run the slant. You're making him pick one. So you see how this wide receiver, he slides off the line, he slows the tempo down, throws the crossover, and you see with that crossover, hips and shoulders committed to the fade, that's what will get that DB to jump, and that can get me to slip underneath. So that slide release is the exact same thing as the diamond. You're trying to accomplish the same thing, but instead you're changing the tempo to time up with the play, and it's a crossover that sells the outside move instead of taking 3 hard steps to sell the move. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys understand that and understand when to use that. You do not want to use this on quick game scenarios where the quarterback's trying to catch and throw as fast as he can. That is not going to work. It is going to take too long. Use this on RPOs and use this on 3-step footwork passing game. Okay, let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver sliding, being patient with the tempo, and using that crossover and selling the fade with his upper half, because just like in the first example, same type of coverage, that DB's eyes are on his hips. So now, next clip I want to talk about. Third way to run this slant. How would you run a slant versus outside shade when you don't have that much room, or maybe like a few yards to work, right? He's off the ball, so he's got about 2 yards to work. DB's outside shade. So this could be like cover 2, or this could be like straight up man coverage. He's just outside shade. So we know when a DB's outside shade, what does that usually mean? That usually means he has help to the inside, right? So he's got all kinds of help to the inside over here. He wants you to just take off and go run because he could get hands right into your hip and force you to that safety. So let's watch how this wide receiver runs this route. He does a great job attacking the DB outside, not necessarily doing that diamond release, but doing like a triple step release. I call this like an Icky Shuffle. You guys ever done an Icky Shuffle on a ladder before, where you have the ladder, you start here, and then you step with your left foot, right foot, and then left outside the box, and you just kind of go back and forth. It's 3 steps. That's kind of how I think of it. How it's different from a diamond is your shoulders and your hips stay square. But the main key is we want to threaten him outside of his frame to the outside. He's outside shade because he's trying to protect what? Wants to protect the outside. He does not want to give up a fade. He does not want to let you go take an outside release comeback because he's got no help out there. And it could be because this wide receiver has his split cut down. Maybe the wide receiver's at the top of the numbers. You never know why that DB might be playing it, but he for sure has help to the inside. So if I could threaten him where he doesn't want me to go, if I could take these 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, and I'm actually stepping outside of his frame, my hips and my shoulders are selling just like on the first 2 examples, because that's where that DB's eyes are supposed to be in man coverage, that can get him off the platform and bite to the fade. That is how we structure my routes, fellas. It is all about the DB's leverage. So many people ask me, hey, coach, what's a good release for a slant route? What's a good release for this? And it's like I can't give you a definitive answer because there's so many answers, because it depends on his leverage. It depends on how he's playing. What kind of coverage is it? Is it cover 2? You never actually know until you see the leverage of the DB. That's why you got to have a plan for every situation that we might face. That's the whole purpose of making a video just like this one. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job attacking that DB's leverage, using that kind of Icky Shuffle triple step release to get him off. So now, how would I run this if maybe I don't have that much space? I have an outside shade, so the 4th way to run this slant, a 3-step slant, when I have outside shade coverage, but I don't have much room to work. He is right up on that line of scrimmage. I don't have space to do that triple step. What's a release that I could do? So let's play this full speed. So this is what we call a wide step 3-step slant. So I'm going to play it right now. So play clip, wide step, 1, 2, 3. Breaks this thing right off and is able to run that slant. It makes this catch over the middle. I know I cut that off a little soon. Now, what makes him choose a wide step here instead of that triple step? Because he doesn't have that much space, right? So when this DB is right up on the line, you obviously can't do that triple step because you don't have much room to work. So you just eliminate 2 steps. You would just take a wide step. So a wide step is exactly how it might sound. You take a step with this back foot, you step wide outside the DB's frame, you sell with that upper half to the outside, make him think that you're just trying to do a speed release. Because again, same principles apply that we just talked about. He's outside leverage. Now he's just a little bit closer, but nothing changes. He's just changed up his leverage a little bit, right? He just changed up the distance from us. He's a little bit closer, but he still has help to the inside, still wants to force me to the inside. And look at where the wide receiver is. Very close. His split is cut down. So the DB is going to be expecting an outside route. But if I have to run that inside route, I don't want to just take off and run. He will get hands on you and force you to the sideline. Do not just run the slant, fellas. We have to attack the leverage. So that's what he does. Gives a great wide step release, gets that DB just to hesitate to the outside. Give him the free release so we could work back up vertical, we could get skinny and have more space from the DB's help to the inside. That is a perfect example of how to do that when you don't have space to work off the line with that wide step release. Let's play it again, full speed. Great job by Moore, wide stepping, hitting those 3 steps, and then breaking this thing right off over the middle. So now, last clip, 5th way to run this slant route. Is we're going to talk about a goal line situation in like maybe not necessarily like right on the goal line, like 5-yard line going in, and you got a DB who's lined up inside shade right on the goal line. So what would you do right here, right? So the main thing is that now what was our number one, the first 2 releases that we talked about, what was the goal, right? What was the goal of those 2 releases? To attack the outside, right? Because he's inside shade. He wants to protect the inside. My goal is to attack him outside. My goal is to make him think vertical. My goal is to make him turn his hips and go, right? So whether that's when I slide or whether that's when I just take off on 3 hard steps, and we should know the difference between that. So now he's inside shade, but he's 5 yards off. That's where I got to make the break. And I can't change up the steps of the break. I can't go run this thing at 7 yards and try to push vertical, get him to flip and then slip under. Quarterback's going to be sacked. I got to run the route at the depth that is required or the timing that is required, which is like a 3-step timing. So what you would want to do in this case is attack the DB's leverage, then threaten vertical. You want to close the cushion with him. So I'm going to play at full speed. So this wide receiver does a great job of attacking, selling outside, getting the DB to jump, and then making that separation over the middle. So why do we attack him here? Why wouldn't I just right off the line, just go to the outside and take 3 hard steps and hope that he opens up to the fade, and then bam, I slip back underneath? I don't do that because there's too much space. If I had to run a slant and let's say I took 3 hard steps and let's say the DB did jump, there's too much of a gap between the 2 of us for him to be able to lose on the route. He's going to be able to recover, open up his hips, and drive on the break because we didn't close enough space. Anytime that you're threatening that DB, you want to be as close as possible because it gives him less space to recover. So that's the whole purpose of this. He attacks his leverage. He's closing the distance. And now when we close the distance on the goal line, a DB, when he's got his feet or his heels on the goal line, he's taught not to backpedal. So he's going to sit right there. We know that if we attack him, he's not going to weave and turn to the outside because I could easily just turn around and the quarterback could throw me the ball. So he's going to stand his ground, and that makes it easy for us. We already know what he's going to do before he even does it. So we attack the leverage. We know he's going to sit right there, and my goal is to threaten him with a fade. How would you run a fade against this coverage? You'd attack the DB's leverage, and then you'd go push up vertical. That's how we want to make it look. I attack his leverage. I square him up, 1, 2. I throw the hips, throw the shoulders. Same principles apply. That's where that DB is looking. I step outside the frame, get him to jump, and I got separation over the middle. That is textbook right there, how you would run this route, this slant route, against this type of coverage on the goal line. Let's play at full speed one more time. Great job attacking, throwing the hip into the break, and then creating space. All right, fellas, I really hope that helped you guys out. I hope it taught you a few things about just route running, what you guys can do to run that slant route and be effective with that slant, because I know that is a very popular route with the younger guys and the high school guys for that matter. Now, again, fellas, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Leave those in the comment section below. And also, you guys, if you're local to one of those 6 states or would like to travel out to get some work in with us this offseason, we'd absolutely love to have you out to our Columbus, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, Salt Lake City, or Los Angeles camp. Great opportunity for you guys to work with us for 2 whole days, 4 hours each day. So check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.